Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, and maybe we'll grow out of it. I'm Ashvika,
And I'm Anna.
and today we have a new episode clearly for you. So, today we're going to talk about Killua, who is one of the main characters from Hunter x Hunter, and more specifically about his character and his growth arc, how he grew as a character over the course of the entire show. And this is going to be filled with spoilers because we will be talking about his growth, right? And who he is, his relationships, all that good stuff. So, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, go watch it, come back, and let's talk about Killua. And this is probably going to be a long discussion because he had an amazing arc. It's a very complex arc. He's a very complex character. He's written really well, in my opinion. I think he's the most well written character from Hunter x Hunter. So, yeah, there's a lot to cover. So, it will be fun. Spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go.
But before that, I'll just say that if you haven't read the manga but are caught up with the anime, this is like totally gonna be fine with you because well, we haven't seen the manga, read the manga as well. So yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
that
don't have spoilers from manga. But, like, I don't think. Is he even in the manga? Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're gonna stick with the anime. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So Killua, he is a very interesting character, and honestly, his character is like his development arc and all that. It has been like the one of the most interesting things. Like it really kept us invested, seeing his journey and all that. Um, then okay, first of all, changing oneself is has never been an easy task or even a quick task. But he's changed so much from the first episode that if you look back, like if you've seen the whole anime and you look back, then you just can't recognize because it's like he changes so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to say something about it, you can say.
Okay, so actually, I'm so glad you started with this because I have something to add on this exact same thing that you're talking about, how he changed as a person and how he really grew. So, one personal opinion is that I think it's no secret that Killua did change a lot. And as you said, he is a completely different person by the end of the anime. More
Mhm.
specifically, the 2011 anime, which is the anime we're talking about, not the old one, guys, but yeah. So he did change a lot as a character, but one take I have is that his arc is not what we think it is. Like we think he changed in this way, but I think he changed in another way. So I'll expand on what I'm trying to say, right? So a lot of us think that Killua is a character who developed more emotional awareness, I guess, as he grew, right? Because in the first season, he's like this non emotional, I don't care about anything kind of guy. And by the end of the show, he becomes a very emotional person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us think that's his journey, becoming more emotional, becoming more in touch with his feelings. So so we think that his character starts as a very not emotional character, and then it ends with him being a lot more emotionally aware. But I don't agree with that. I think his arc is not about that as much as it's about him learning his self worth. Because
Yeah.
I think he is an emotional character from the first season itself. He's very emotional. In fact, I would even say that out of our four main characters, except maybe Leorio, he is the most emotional character from our main cast, even more than Gon. Okay, because he just doesn't show it in the first season, but by the end of the
Yeah.
first season or the first arc, we realize that he's actually a very emotional character, and so his arc is not getting emotional or basically getting more in touch with his feelings, but it's more him realizing his self worth, and I think that's his arc.
Yeah. Him finding his self-worth and his confidence.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I that. But okay, I actually kind of made one mistake earlier. I said his development arc, which is just wrong because one thing that's different about his development is that it's not just one thing, like it wasn't that one moment that like changed, made a drastic change in his character or something like that. It was uh it was a very, subtle thing that changed from chapter to chapter, bit by bit. So it was like throughout the whole anime. So you can't really pinpoint like, okay, maybe you can pinpoint like the major parts
Mm.
where he had that changes, but you can't
Yeah.
exactly say that, okay, yeah, that is the point from where he like, found his self worth and gained more confidence and this and that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I really like that part of Hunter x Hunter. It's like very different from a lot of anime I've seen.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think you could say his arc is not linear in a way. It's more interconnected. It's like he grows in one area, then he'll grow in another area, and then those two being combined, he'll grow in a new way, kind of like that. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I'll give you an example to back up what I'm trying to say. So, for example, we have his arc with him and his brother Illumi going on with his whole self worth thing, and then we have
mm,
his and Gon's relationship going on, and which also I want to talk about because I think it affected him a lot, and it's very interesting, right? So these two are different arcs, and they grew in different ways. Like his relationship with Illumi grew with him becoming more confident in his skills, I guess, and his relationship with Gon grew with him basically going from thinking Gon is a god to thinking that okay, Gon is also a human being and he shouldn't rely on him as like this, you know, big figure or whatever, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it
yeah.
grew into two different things and then it came together to him growing in one specific way. Like that.
Hmm.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question. Okay, what do you think about his relationship with Gon? Like that friendship, how it affected him? Was it good? Was it bad? Like, what's your opinion?
I thought you would like to start this part, but okay.
Yeah, what?
Uh, yeah.
No, what did you say? I mean,
No, I was saying that I thought that you would like to start this part, like, but it's fine. I just do that. So basically, look, Killua was you know थोड़ा सा suffering, not really understanding what he actually wanted with his life. Like clearly he didn't want to be an assassin, but other than that, and um honestly he had like a brutal, meaningless life. But Gon, who was like very clear with his own idea and like what he wants, basically finding his dad and all that. Killua slowly started begin to like learn where he wants to go in his life, and at least for temporarily, it it like made him find his own goals. But yeah, like um, look, he grew up deprived of friends, and it was something like very special or almost untouchable for him. But then he met Gon, who was like this honest kid who would never lie to you, kind, compassionate, and like friendly. Like he's so friendly. He probably just thought of Killua as friends. Like from I don't know, 2 minutes and they started talking, and he's like, "Yeah, you're my best friend."
yeah, that's probably true. Uh, yeah, you have a point. So okay, I'll tell you what I think of this relationship. So I think their relationship or their friendship is one of the best friendships I've ever seen, because not
Hmm.
because it's like oh they're best friends, they would live for not live, but they would die for each other. And I mean, yeah, that's true, they would, but I think their friendship is probably the most realistic friendship I've ever seen. Like out of all the best friends or that we've seen in animes or whatever, because I'll tell you why. I love their friendship because I think it's very flawed in the sense that yes, they do. they are good for each other, and Gon does help Killua a lot, as you said, especially in the beginning. Just by being a genuine friend and just being there for him and them having fun and them bonding in the first arc. That is amazing. It really is. Okay. I also think that Gon, more than anything, shows a lot of kindness to Killua, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing. But then I think their friendship is also flawed because there are times when Gon is very selfish towards Killua, and there's even a point where Killua kind of treats Gon as this god, or he kind of worships him. uh, some people
Mhm.
I've seen some people think that Killua kind of gets obsessed with Gon, like thoda sa. I disagree with that, but I do think that he kind of puts Gon on this pedestal where it's like he's this perfect person, he's the light, he's the sun, which I see where that's coming from, but I think that's not fair because Gon is also a 12-year-old kid and he does have a lot of flaws himself. Okay?
Yeah.
So I think that that whole friendship becomes low key toxic thoda, I would say, especially in Chimera and Tark. And
Yeah.
Killua
I
oh
was just gonna
like
put that in.
क्या what? You were also
I
going
was
to say
just
that.
gonna put that idea in, huh?
Yeah, I know. Okay, but then Killua I think also realizes that after a point he's like, अच्छा थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो रहा है. And then I just really like that whole thing that happens. I think it's really nice. I think Killua also learns from gone mistakes as a friend, like if you know what I mean. So I think that's nice.
Yeah. Like he realized that he was always sacrificing or like cleaning up after gone,
Yeah.
which is just not wrong, which is just wrong. But then I do remember, like since I recently rewatched it, that around when Gon got hospitalized when he
Yeah,
turned
yeah.
into that big man,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, uh, Killua was like, I always end up cleaning after you, but you know what? I'll do that again.
Yeah.
And but this time I'll make you, like pay for, not exactly like in a bad way, but like pay for it. I don't remember the exact words. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, I think gone but like okay, so that is all there. But I think the biggest thing that Gon did for Killua was show him a lot of kindness, like this
Yeah.
unconditional love and kindness, without really expecting anything in return. After a point, he did start expecting stuff, not like you should do this for me, but more like I know you will do this for me, so I'll just use you like that ways. But um, I know, thoda messed up. It becomes in Greed Island, all that starts happening, I think. Yeah. But like before
Yeah.
that, Gone is just like really nice. And I really like the friendship. It feels like a genuine friendship between 12-year-olds. And I see a lot of people being like, why don't they just communicate with each other in Chimera and Dark? And it's like, bro, they're 12-year-olds. They're making their own things in their head. ऐसा करेंगे वो लोग. So I think that's also very realistic.
Yeah. Like since when you said about the kindness part, I just like remembered, in the starting, it was when like Keeler was basically telling him about his family. Normally, people would be shocked or not believe him or like just kind of get away from him because well, it's a family of assassins. But like
Yeah.
Gon was like all excited about it. Like really, both of your parents?
Yeah, I remember that scene. Yes.
I think that was the very turning point for that, like because they were just starting it, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something he totally did not expected.
Yeah. I also really like the last battle in the first arc, the Hunter exam
Mm-hmm.
arc, where okay, so I'm gonna be honest, when I was watching that for the first time, I remember Gon always like I remember when Gon was having that fight with that samurai guy and he was losing, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching Kilo's reaction and his reaction was not like sympathetic at all. I remember him being like, I could have done that better, and then why
Oh
can't
yeah.
Gon do like? Do you remember? So I was just
Mm-hmm.
thinking, ki bro, you're being so like, come on, be thoda more caring, be thoda more emotional about it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I, that's what I was thinking, but then I realized ki like this is you know what I realized? That scene had actually nothing to do with his friendship with Gon as much as it had to do with Killua's self worth again. I think that's when you would realize that how low his self worth was, even though it's not very obvious. So I remember his monologue being like, I could have done that better, and he can't even do this much, and I know I can beat him, I know I can do this. Like, he is, if you realize, reinforcing himself. I know I can do this better than Gon, you know? And
Uh,
and I remember, हाँ बोलो.
okay, sorry, I just had to put this in because this reminded me that at one point we understand how basically Killua at first he's like evaluating like how much strength his opponent has and how much he has, and if he feels like even the slightest hint of like danger, or
Mm-hmm.
even if his partner is like at the equal level of him, he
Mm-hmm.
just like because of the needles basically stabbed in his head, he would like being told to run away.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that also plays a huge part on that.
Yeah, you're right. And another thing, that is another like, what do you call, like a sign that he has very low self worth is when Netero, the chairman, he gave that whole plan right in the Hunter exam arc. Whoever did the best is going to get as many chances as possible and all that stuff. And then Killua was like very like he had very few chances, and then I remember his monologue again being like, what am I lacking? I have everything. I have this. I should have had many chances. I'm amazing. All that stuff. Do you
Hmm.
remember? Yeah. So again, that is something that someone with very low with someone with very low self worth and confidence would do. They would suddenly become annoyed and they'll be like, like I have this, I have that. Whereas someone who's very confident would be like, they wouldn't care, right? They'll be like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know I can do this. I'm confident. He wasn't. So I just feel like that whole scene with him and Gon is then not him being not empathetic. It's just him having very low self worth. So I think that's
Hmm.
very interesting and not very obvious. I think it's very subtle, which is ironic because anime is not a very subtle thing in general, but I think that whole thing is very subtle.
Yeah, like honestly, I did not really see those things. Of course, when I was first seeing it, I was like, okay, that is one side of him for sure.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
now it, makes sense. Like after rewatching it and all that.
Yeah.
So that. Um, what do you think about you know, all that Illumi, his Zodic family, and Killua?
So I think that they definitely, obviously, as you said, Pehle also, they played a very big role in just making him very low on confidence, specifically Illumi. The thing about Illumi is that he has such a toxic relationship with Killua. Like, it's not funny. Do you remember we had a discussion once between which
Yeah.
relationship is better, Illumi and Killua or Gon and his father? And I remember thinking that, Illumi says that he loves Killua, and then Gon's father clearly does not love Gon as much as he probably should. But then Gon and his father have a better relationship because at least he's like, live your life, do whatever you want. He doesn't want any harm
Yeah.
to come to his child. Whereas Illumi has such a twisted
Love.
definition of love towards his
Yeah.
little brother. It's thoda creepy and yeah, it's not nice.
You haven't watched Cage the Infinity, have you?
I haven't watched what?
Cage the Infinity. That's an
No,
anime.
no.
Okay. Yeah, there's this guy there also known Adam. Yeah, he really reminds me of that. Anyways,
Okay.
uh, so that.
Yeah. So as I was saying, that family now. So Illumi,
Hmm.
I hate him. Okay, he has so much control over Killua, especially because of his needles, right? Which is why when Killua got rid of the needles, it was such a powerful moment. It was like, yeah, get him. Like it was so cool. I really like it. But
But
then,
I have to put this in. And
huh?
the audacity that guy had to think that Killua would think of him as one of the most precious person for him. I wanted to punch my laptop at that time.
That's good. But what do you think of the other family members? Like, okay, Illumi sucks. We all know that. What about the others?
Okay, let's start with his mother because, well, I think she's a very twisted person as well. She was laughing when Kiva basically put that condition that, if he doesn't get out of I know it was because okay, no, I'll complete that. That if he doesn't get out of the mountain in within like 30 minutes, I guess,
Hmm.
his mother would die. He was so happy. But then I know it's because he's like, oh wow, he's becoming an assassin. But she is known, like, no less than, Illumi.
I get
Yeah,
it.
I don't like her. I get it that she also loves her son and wants him to be, amazing because he has so much potential, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think his father and his grandfather are better overall.
Yeah. Like, okay, when the first time I saw his father being like, make that promise that you'll never hurt your friends and stuff, I was happy. I was like, okay, like one person is reasonable in this family. But then, you know, the that line he said where he was like, that it's okay, I know he's gonna come back. It felt, off. Like, okay, so basically, you still don't want him to live what he wants and stuff, but okay, but he was still giving him that, freedom. But that was at that time. But when I got to know about the needle thing, and that he knew that Ilimi put a needle in him, and then even then he didn't do anything about it, I was not fine with him.
I think it's not. Well, say yeah, you have a point, but I think it's not fair to compare that family to like a normal family
Yeah,
because they have a completely different value system and almost like culture and what they value or whatever. So I think according to that, his father and his grandfather are decent
much
people, but
better.
like yeah,
Yeah,
still, thoda sa, everyone is twisted there.
I know. That and like I can see that they genuinely care about him. Like their definition of love is still actually like similar to the actual definition of love. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
So do you have anything else to talk about the Zoldyck family, or should we move on?
We can move on.
हाँ ठीक है. So, oh, actually, we're not done with the family. Let's talk about Aluka because she plays a huge role.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Uh,
want to start?
so okay, I really like her role. So I will be honest, I'm not a very big fan of Aluka just as a individual character because I will be honest, I don't really care about her as an individual character,
Yeah.
but I really like what she brings to the table for Killua. So I think that Killua obviously loves her. They have like this big brother, small sister relationship going on, and that is all great. But you know what I find very interesting is the ending. So, like the last episode with Killua. Okay. So, a lot of people think that by the last episode, his arc is complete because, he's finally found his purpose in life and he's moved on from Gon, who he basically attached his entire life around because he kind of latched onto it, right? Once he left his family, he had nowhere else to go. So
Hmm.
he finally moved on from Gon in that sense, and he found his purpose in life, which is to protect Aluka. And now he's more confident as a person. He's more just overall healthy mentally, emotionally, which is all true, but I still think his arc is not complete by the last episode because while all of that is great, one problem I see, and I think it's intentional knowing the author, is that when he says his life purpose is to protect Aluka, it's still about someone else. It's still about protecting someone else. First, it was about protecting Gon. Now it's about protecting his sister. It's like, when is he
Yeah.
going to have time for himself? He's just protecting people one after another. It's like the same thing almost, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's intentional because anyways he's 12 years old. There's no way he'll suddenly be like a grown man. Oh, suddenly he's perfect. ऐसा तो नहीं होने वाला है. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that ki there's this still one thread which is very obviously left and there's room for growth and it's unsolved. And I think Aluka like she is a good tool for his character in that sense. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's a big step for sure
Yeah.
because you know, Gone, like protecting Gone or being with him was like definitely, matlab, it wasn't like a permanent thing, right? Because at one point he wanted to know what he wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I totally agree that um, I liked how at least he was happy with the fact that he had something at this point. But it, yeah, I didn't think of it that much. But I would also like to see something. I'm pretty sure there must be. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I don't even know. The manga comes and goes. So I hope that something happens in the future where we see more, where it's just him, you know, him being all about himself, a goal that he wants to do something, like some passion or something, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, though about Aluka, you said you don't really enjoy her as an individual. You know what? Kind of same because, well, look, we didn't even see much of her except the fact that she loves her big brother and that she's cute and
Mm-hmm.
that she asks for demands, you know. But I really like that one part where, basically after healing gone, Killua and Aluka and Nanika had that like talk where basically he told Nanika to never come back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I genuinely did not think that Aluka would do something because she never did. She loved her big brother and never. But then the fact that she you know raised her voice Sora and told him that I will hate you if you don't love Nanika or protect her like you do me.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing, okay, and I kind of liked her more because of that. Yeah.
Even I liked that scene. I think they could have expanded more on her character. Like that scene itself is already hinting at more things, I guess. But
Hmm.
I think it's fine. I mean, there's only so much they can do in like 13 episodes, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I liked that scene.
And then there was one more part. I know. I wait. Where did this go from Killua to Aloka? But let me just say this.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
like there was this part in like I think the last episode, yeah, where basically Killua and Gon were like last May they were meeting last
Mhm.
some minutes, and Aloka was like, "Don't worry, I won't take him for too long."
Mhm.
Basically she has self awareness. Okay, she's not just a small girl who knows nothing about this world.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yeah.
enough about Alaka.
Okay.
Back to Killua.
So I wanted to talk about another thing. So do you
Yeah.
remember when we talked about kindness and how Gon was really kind to Killua? So I think
Mm-hmm.
okay, so do you remember when you said some time ago that there's no one point where it's like, okay, now Killua is a changed man. I agree with that. Of course that's how it is, like even in real life, so it was very organic. But so you know how even in our real life, when we change as people, it is only evident that we've changed as people is when we externally project that uh, like that change in ourselves. Like for example, let's say I was a very selfish person. I learned now I'm selfless, but people won't know I'm selfless unless I actually go out there and actually do something selfless, right? So
Yeah.
I think that one really good thing that happened in the Hunter ka show with Killua is that not only did he kind of become more kind after meeting Gon, like that Gon's kindness not only came into Killua, he also
Mm-hmm.
projected it in Kamira and Tar. Like before that, he didn't really externally very project it, but in that he did with Ikalgo, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
passing the torch of kindness, right? Gon was kind to Killua, in turn Killua was kind to Ikalgo. There's even a scene I remember where I don't know if I'm spelling his name right, but Ikalgo was looking up to Killua and then Killua had like sun rays behind him or something and he was like looking back at him.
Yeah.
Do you remember? It's kind of like how Killua looks at Gon, right? With that whole sun rays thing metaphor, right? So it's like a
Mhm.
whole torch of kindness going on. I think that's really cool.
Next, we are like talking about Ikalgo's character growth.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But okay, since we are on that topic, so, at that time, there was this one line. Basically, kind of this idea that friends don't have to say thank you to friends because that's what they are here for. And Kilwa said that to Cargo, bro. That
Yeah,
was so good because he was actually finding himself,
yeah,
and like I think that's like one of the first time he actually we saw him making friends other than God, like actually himself trying to make friends
yes,
rather than like okay, before it was like Gone was his friend. Gone would meet other people, maybe like okay, so for Leorio and Kurapika it was also like that. They were like
mm,
good friends, and
yeah,
because he opened up to Gone, he slightly open like dhire dhire karke he also opened up to the to Leorio and Kurapika. But this time it was all by himself, so it was a big step. Proud of him.
yeah. I know that is such a good friendship, underrated friendship. It's very good. I really like it.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. I literally just thought of this on the spot when you were talking all this. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you know how people say that, oh, this character is the heart of the show and this character is the soul of the show or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, if you had to pick between Gon and Killua, who is the heart of the show and who is the soul and why?
That is tough. Wait. Um, let me think. I would say Keel was definitely the heart of the show and Gone's the soul.
You know what? I might disagree with you. But like, what is your like thought process behind this? Or
I would
does it just
say,
feel right?
yeah, I don't have many words to actually tell you. I would say it's mostly because it feels right, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also because, like, okay, so I would say Kilwa's whole growth, his character and all, was like the most touching thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like there were moments, of course, that were touching and all, but it was like the one thing that kept me so invested. And of course, Keel was so like love, so that too. And yeah, he's definitely the heart. I don't know how to express it more
I
well.
get it. I get it. So I'll also try expressing, but honestly, even I don't know. So I think I'll tell you why. I think Killua is the heart of the show and Gon is the soul. Even though in the beginning it might look like Gon is the heart of the show, but I
Yeah.
think it's not the case because you know the thing about okay, one difference between Gon and Killua throughout the show is that Killua becomes a lot more self-aware, and I mean so does Gon, I guess, but like also not really. Let's be honest. So I think Killua becomes more self-aware, and that makes all the difference. So I'll tell you what it means. So like Gon is naturally just a very kind person. Like he doesn't consciously think ki now I will be kind. He's just himself and
Yeah.
most of the times that ends up with him being kind. But I think he's not being kind because he wants to be kind. He's just kind because that's part of who he is. And honestly, sometimes it's not even kindness. Sometimes it's just his own selfish needs, if we're being honest, through which he ends up being kind. Okay. And
Yeah.
he's a very energetic person. He's just filled with so much life, which is very natural. Like, it's not like he's not consciously doing this. You know how, like, Hinata. from Haikyuu. He's just also naturally like that. He's not consciously like, oh, now I will motivate this person. No, he's just himself, and that ends up motivating the other person, right? It's kind of similar with Gon. So I feel like the word soul fits him more because soul is just like, that's who you are. That's just naturally how it is. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, that feels more right. Okay. But with
Mhm.
Killua, he is a very emotional person. As I said, he's even more emotional than Gon, in my opinion, because he's consciously more emotional. He feels a lot of things. Okay, he'll be like, "Oh, Gon did this for me. I'm very grateful," and then he'll like reminisce about it in his head or something. So I don't know. That just feels more like something the heart would do. Am I making sense?
Wow.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're making a lot of sense, much more than what I was saying.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah. Uh,
Um. Hmm.
since we were talking about Kilo and Gone, I did think of something which um was okay. So around the last part, basically the Chimera and arc, where Killua finally started to grasp the idea of him like having his purpose and life and all that.
Hmm.
And whereas gone, he totally like sunk into darkness, like because of Kite's death and all that Neferpito and all that.
Hmm.
So and in the while he also said pretty harsh stuff on him. And
Hmm.
I we did talk about this, but since it was not here,
Hmm.
uh, it was like how okay, wait, no, that's kind of like about Gon's character arc. But he about the apology thing and all.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like his apology was like all. It was kind of like supposed to be funny. Like it was more made to look like funny, but it was not funny. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for context, basically, we were having this discussion pehle, right? And we were saying ki one moment that we thought was actually not executed well was that Gon owed a very sincere apology to Killua because he was, let's be honest, he was just a very big jerk in the whole Chimera talk. And we were waiting for that moment to be a very sincere one, but instead it was like, oh, sorry, and background music was thoda funny and stuff, and it shouldn't have been funny, because, like, no, Gone was just very bad. He should have been sincere. So, yeah, I think that
Mhm.
moment should have taken more time. I think Killua deserved it, B deserved it as well, and honestly, even Gon deserved it, and Nai Huavo. So that is.
Yeah. And Keenwell was just like fine with it, which was like,
Yeah,
wow,
dude.
are you like gone in first episode now?
Yeah, I know. No, no, no. I don't like. I didn't like that Keeler was so okay with it. He was like also just shrugging it off. He was kind of like, okay, this is very off topic, but I feel like he was kind of like you in that scene. He was just like, oh,
What?
it's fine, even though it's not supposed to be fine. Like, I don't know. You give that vibe as well, but like still, yeah, I didn't like that scene.
I mean, if I'm getting compared with Killua, I am more than fine with that.
Yeah, okay, I see. See, guys, I am so self-obsessed this person is. Huh. So, we talked about Gon's arc in terms of his self-worth and his relationship with Gon. Do you think he grew in any other way throughout the show?
Killua?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I can't think. Wait.
Oh, acha. Okay, so this has to do with his self-worth thing only, but I got another example where we see this again very nicely.
Okay.
So do you remember in Chimera and Task when Biscuit comes back and we have that scene between him and Biscuit where she's like saying ki, Gon will make it through somehow. You're the one I'm worried about because I realize that you run away when things get hard. And
Yeah, and they had that whole personal thing where his face was beat up like hell. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that whole scene. I think that scene is really good. Another scene, another reason why I like that scene is because, sorry, because when someone grows as a person, right, it's like
Hmm.
it's like a web of a lot of different things that will compel that person to grow. It's like themselves, it's going to be their friend, it can be someone else. So it's like, Killua didn't grow just because of Gon's health, but also because of Biscuit's health or Aluka's health. Like other people also helped him grow in different ways, right?
Yeah.
So I think Biscuit really helped him because Gon was like just unconsciously helping him, but Biscuit acted as an actual mentor, and she told him, she like basically grabbed him by the collar. She was like, "Bro, what are you doing? You need to fix this about your life." And I think that was really needed for Killua.
Yeah, and I think the fact that she was like, if you can't do it past the trial and stuff, you should just get away from God's side because there might be a time when you just like, leave him on the battlefield because the enemy is too strong. I think
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like gave him that because of course he always cherished their, friendship, right?
Yeah.
So but he and actually they did lose the fight, right? So he was like ready to leave Gon when Gon get his Nen powers again because wait, I forgot that guy's name. The one who throws punches and then there's that accrued interest wala
Oh
thing.
yeah, forgot his name
Yeah,
too. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. So I just thought. Anyways,
Knuckles.
yeah, because of huh?
Knuckles.
Yeah, Knuckle,
Yeah.
Knuckle and shoot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So when Gon lost his Nen powers for like 30 days because of Naruto's Nen powers,
Mm.
yeah, then Killua was like that. I'll be just with him at that time to like save him if there's like some kind of problem, and then I'll get away from his life. But then um okay wait no that's the other thing. But what I did really found interesting was when now that I think about it, he could have just ignored that,
Node what?
like, Biscuit's warning that yeah, yeah, like if you lose the battle, now you are to get away from Gon's life.
I mean,
Do
yeah,
you
he could
remember it?
have. He could have ignored that advice, but then why would he? Like, it made sense to him, right? So he.
Yeah,
But I do think that him making that whole decision that I will leave Gon once he gets better is thoda sa condescending, because it's like, who are you to make the decision if Gon wants you in his life or not? You know.
I think it's thora mature as well because
I
can
mean,
you
I
believe
guess.
he would do that? I think he was like that was a big step, but then it is true that he like he wasn't there to choose that. The Gone is also there to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I got another. Okay, so remember, so we are talking about how he had very low self-worth and stuff, right, in the beginning. But there is one scene that kind of contradicts that. So I want your opinion on it. So do you remember in the beginning of the Heaven Serena arc when
Hmm.
Killua was telling Gon how far he is before he could beat Killua, and he was like making that whole line and stuff. And Gon was like very far away from Hisoka. But then when Gon was like, "Where would you be?" So he just placed himself like thoda sa niche Hisoka ke.
Yeah.
Like this much, and then I will be able to. But like I don't think that's accurate. I think Hisoka would finish Killua off very quickly if he really wanted to, especially at that point, because he had barely mastered Nen. So,
Mm.
for someone who has very low self worth, he was very confident when he placed himself that high. So,
Yeah. Okay, first of all, even after putting him there, he was like, "Oh wow, I'm being generous," which is something. But wait, okay, so he didn't even know the concept of Nen at that time, if I'm right, right?
yeah.
Because they didn't even go to heaven season until then.
Hmm.
And then there's Hisoka. I'm not sure, honestly. Maybe because he did not know that Hisoka also had men. And he kind of. Okay, you know that kind of saying where they say that if the level of difference is too high, it's hard to for a person to understand, like, how much of, like, of a difference there is. वैसे I think it's थोड़ा सा hard to believe that that might be the case, but it could be that.
Mm, okay, I guess. Do you think
Because
he? हाँ बोलो.
because look, for him at that time it was like he was under a constant like he would feel Illumi's wait, what was this name, like Nen, like the I forgot.
Hisoka.
No, Illumis, that makes him feel that makes his shivers down his spine.
His middle.
I forgot the particular type of Nen.
Even
Desu,
forgot.
was it?
I
Oh my
mean,
god, I just rewatched it some time ago. I'm so okay. Well, that.
yeah.
Um, so when he was under Illumin's
Manipulation.
mom, that was one thing that was probably the most scary for him because I we have seen his reactions and it was like pretty bad. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but he never felt that with Hisoka for sure. So
Mm.
it must be like that now. That if he can survive that and it's like the worst, then Hisoka who can't even do that, he must not be that big of a difference, मतलब fighting level comparatively.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Hisoka has also never shown his true potential of the like
That's
by
true.
that time.
That's true.
Yeah. I
That's
mean that
true.
might be one of the cases.
It could be that because it makes sense. Even we didn't know actually how powerful Hisoka was until बहुत बाद में. It
Yeah.
could also be that maybe, like, I don't think so, but like maybe Killua was just flat out lying in front of Gon. I mean, that is something a person with very low self confidence would do. They would just lie, like, oh no,
But
I am very confident. Huh.
he didn't really look like he was lying. Like, okay, he even made that remark of him being general, so he didn't say it out loud. He genuinely thought that by himself. So
Maybe.
I think it's so hard to believe that he was lying to himself. Like, it could be, definitely, but yeah.
Okay. ठीक है. Nice.
Also, it just came into my head. At
Mm-hmm.
that time, he also knew that Gon, who he thinks was like pretty less at level, like of fighting from him, was able to snatch Hisoka's bat from him.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be pretty easy. Well, not easy, but like if he was able to do that much, maybe Killua has a good chance at fighting him, Hisoka.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It just came into my head. Yeah, but that is actually a very interesting point to think. Now that I think about it,
Okay. So, anything else about his character?
no. I mean, if you have something, I can elaborate on that.
Hmm. Not really. This is all I can think of right now.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think the end is near. So, I don't know, I'm being so dramatic, but yeah. So I think those are our thoughts on Killua as a character. I guess more specifically his growth, but really we just talked about him as a character in general. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys have any thoughts, definitely share about Killua. What do you like about him? Anything we didn't cover? Any new points? So yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. And we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah. Bye. Namaste.
Bye bye.